Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on our weekend edition of Hebrew Word Study and following up on our progression of going through the book of Matthew, chapter 5, going through the Sermon on the Mount or the Beatitudes. Um, we are in verse 7, and I hope you're enjoying this. I'm having a great time unpacking this, and it's a lot of study on my part because every time I think I'm done, I find something new. And so I hope the delay in receiving them is not concerning to anyone. It just takes me more time sometimes than I can really imagine. So as we look at verse 7, is what you can see on your screen, we start with Ashrei Rachamaniyim. And Ashrei we've talked about before. It's a noun, interjection, and we've gone through that. But we come into a word we haven't had in our study before, but it is one that if you've done any Hebrew studies may be familiar to you. It's a word that's very dear to my heart, and that is the word Racham. And we see here that this spelling of Racham has a double yod on it, and it's pointed with a hirik underneath the nun, hirik underneath the first yod, and nothing underneath the last two, which is kind of strange. You'll see here in the notes that there are two yods at the end of the word. I've learned that this is not that abnormal. I found it quite a bit in the Jewish Hebrew Bible, and they say that when you see it this way, the first yod is a consonant, the second one is a vowel. Um, I did a little bit of comparing in some of the other Hebrew Matthews that I have. The only one that attests it is the Munster's revision of a Munster Hebrew Matthew published by Johannes in Paris, France in 1551. I have a copy that I believe I got from New York Public Library, downloaded it. Again, it's a nice clear copy, but when I look at it, it also has the double yod. Some of the other ones that I've looked at do not have it. And so I thought that's kind of interesting that it retains the double yod. Um, the idea of Racham is very interesting to me. It's one of the first words that I learned a very special meaning to, and that came from a gentleman, great Hebrew teacher called Chaim Ben Torah, and he wrote a book on it, which you see on your screen now, called Racham, the love that is beyond love, and it talks about the idea that the resh chet mem, which forms the spelling of the word racham, is also very similar to the spelling for a mother's womb, and that the this feeling, which is this word racham, just doesn't translate into a one-word English word. It can be love, it can be loving kindness, but it's a word that is based upon the love that a mother feels for her child when it's still unborn, when it's still in the womb, when it hasn't done anything, against her in any way, but it's that very pure love that a mother has for her unborn child. And this book is written all about it. I have a copy here, fairly detailed, fairly thick, but it is beautiful in the way it unpacks the Racham. So I encourage you, if you've not looked at that, please look at that and his other books too. He has so many great studies, and he's really the one that kind of motivated me and brought me to a place where I could do studies on my own. And I always am very indebted to him and really appreciate him doing that. So please follow, read some of his books. You'll be very, very blessed. So this Ashrei Rachamayim. And then something else is very interesting here. The rest of the verse goes ki lahem, ki lahem, ki lahem, ki lahem. And you'll notice that this is repeated. The word ki, the word lahem, the word ki, the word lahem is repeated twice. You will not find this anywhere else in any other manuscript. I took a look at the Peshitta, which is the Aramaic Syriac uh, New Testament. It does not show up in there. I've looked at some of the other Hebrew manuscripts that I have of Matthew, which I have probably four of them. You'll see some of them referenced down here. There's the Salkinson Ginsburg from 1898. That does not have it in. There's a manuscript 131 that's found online because it's in the I believe the library in Oxford, that it's not in there. No other script has the double um, he and Lahaim. And that really was interesting because, okay, what is the reason for this? What could have happened? Obviously, it could be a scribal error. It could be that when who was ever transcribing it, they saw it, they wrote it down twice, they didn't check their work, and they moved on. Or it could be that it's in there because of special emphasis, that the person who wrote this, how he heard it. Uh, Again, the reason I'm using the Matthew from the Harley text is it has some things in here that are not in some of the other texts. And so the possibility could be that this is from an earlier text that had it in, and others copied it afterwards and said, well, why is it duplicated? We'll take that out because it didn't mean anything to them. So that's the method I'm going to take. I'm always looking for extra meaning, looking for some way to make it more personal. Because if you look at the last word here, the Rucham, which is also Racham, same as it was above here, but it's in a different form. And you'll see that it has a imperfect prefix of the yod prefix, which means it's an imperfect or yet to be completed state. But also more interesting is underneath the resh, there is a kibbutz vowel pointing, and this puts it in what's called a pual form. Pual for the Hebrew verb tense is an intensive action with a passive voice. I did a couple searches in the on Bible Hub and found that Proverbs 28:13, Hosea 14 verse 3 also use this same word racham in a pual form. Also in those two references, it ends in the third masculine singular ending um, of the comets and then mem sofit. So what's interesting is that follows along, with the racham above here that has in a masculine type, but it's in a masculine plural. And so now we're jumping from a third masculine plural to a third masculine singular. And so that caught my attention. Took a look at some of the other Hebrew texts of Matthew that I have, making reference to the Ginsburg from 1898, which is a translation, but the MS 131 is kind of unknown. It could be a copy of an original text. There they also show this last word having the third masculine plural ending versus the third masculine singular ending. So what I'm thinking is, could it be, and this is just my trying to take this to heart and make it more personal, that this whole idea of racham, of being merciful, of showing God's love, that same type of love that comes as a mother would have to the baby in her womb, the repetition here of to them and to them, it will be mercy. And it brings it personal. It takes it out of the plural of the um, part of the first part of this sentence where it talks about it, merciful as something that encompasses all, but then here it drills it down and applies it personally in a singular way to one individual. And it's singular here. And I think the idea is just to bring home the idea of what this mercy really is. And looking back up here, I have a few references of this where this Racham is being used in Matthew chapter 7, verse 2, Matthew 9, verse 13, Matthew 12, verse 7, Hosea 2 and 23, and Hosea 6. All of these reference back that this idea of mercy or this Racham is the amount that you have in your life is based upon the amount that you show to others. And Jesus makes numerous references to this, that when one of our evidences of truly serving him is when we give to others, when we show mercy to others, and that God will show us the same type of mercy and the same amount of mercy as we show to others, those who are created in his image and his likeness, his children here upon this earth. And so that's what this verse means to me. Maybe it will fit for you, maybe it won't. But I hope that you are blessed to know the meaning of this Racham, and that it is definitely something that we need to show to others because we truly want mercy to be shown to us. So God bless you. Hope you enjoy this study and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.